The world is heating up, and it's not just the summer sun. This line is not just a catchy phrase but a stark reality that we face today. Global warming, a term we've all heard, yet many of us fail to fully grasp its implications. It's not just about the mercury rising on your thermometer or the sweltering summer heat that makes you dash for an air conditioner. It's much more than that. Our Earth, our home, is witnessing a surge in temperatures at an unprecedented rate. Each year, the heat records of the previous year are shattered, creating a new normal that is far from normal. It's as though our planet is in a fever, and it's getting worse. And it doesn't stop there. The polar ice caps, the Earth's natural air conditioners are melting at an alarming rate. These icy guardians of the Earth, which once reflected the sun's heat back into space, are now shrinking, giving way to vast expanses of dark water that absorb more heat, exacerbating the warming effect. This relentless warming is not just causing discomfort, it's fueling extreme weather events. We're witnessing hurricanes that are more powerful, droughts that are more prolonged, wildfires that are more intense, and floods that are more devastating. These aren't random acts of nature, they are the distress signals sent out by our planet. Our world is in a state of emergency, and the clock is ticking. The urgency of the situation cannot be overstated. It's not just about protecting the polar bears or preserving the coral reefs, as important as they are. It's about safeguarding our future, ensuring that our children and grandchildren inherit a planet that is livable. We are at a critical juncture, a point where our actions today will determine the course of our future. The question is, how did we get here? To understand the problem, we need to go back to the beginning. Let's rewind the clock a little, to the late 18th century, a time when coal and steam powered the world, the herald of the Industrial Revolution. This was a period of rapid industrial growth and significant societal changes, but it was also the beginning of a shift in our relationship with the environment. Human activities, from burning fossil fuels to mass production, started to leave an indelible mark on our planet. The factories belched out smoke, the trains chugged along spewing soot, and the coal mines dug deep into the earth, all contributing to an increase in carbon emissions. The air began to change, and so did the climate. Now think about a forest, a sprawling expanse of green teeming with life. It's not just a beautiful spectacle, it's a vital part of our ecosystem, a natural carbon sink. But as the wheels of progress turned, these forests were razed to the ground to make way for industry and agriculture. Deforestation on a massive scale started to tip the balance. The trees, which once absorbed carbon dioxide, were no longer there. The carbon, which was once safely stored in the forests, was released back into the atmosphere. The Earth's natural defense against excess carbon was weakened, and the effect on the global climate was profound. Carbon emissions and deforestation are like two sides of the same coin, both contributing to what we now know as global warming. The relentless pumping of carbon into the atmosphere, coupled with the widespread destruction of our planet's forests, has created a vicious cycle. The Earth's temperature is rising, the polar ice caps are melting, and extreme weather events are becoming more frequent. We've set the stage for a global crisis, one that affects every single one of us. To put it simply, our actions, our relentless pursuit of progress at the expense of our environment, have set the Earth on a dangerous path. It's a path that we need to deviate from before it's too late. Our actions have set the Earth on a dangerous path. The consequences of global warming are far-reaching and devastating. It's not just about polar ice caps melting or sea levels rising. The implications of global warming go beyond what meets the eye, affecting every strata of our existence. Let's delve into biodiversity first. As temperatures rise, habitats undergo drastic changes. Some species can adapt, but many cannot. The world's biodiversity is under threat. From the bees that pollinate our crops to the coral reefs that house millions of marine species, the loss is enormous. It's akin to removing bricks from a house one by one. Eventually, the structure, the ecosystem in this case, is bound to collapse. And then there's the increased frequency of natural disasters. As the Earth warms, we're seeing more forest fires, more floods, more devastating hurricanes. These are not just natural calamities, they're economic catastrophes. Forest fires, for instance, don't just destroy trees and wildlife. They wipe out homes, businesses, entire communities. The economic cost of rebuilding is staggering, not to mention the social cost of displacement, loss of livelihoods, and the emotional toll it takes on people. Flooding, on the other hand, wreaks havoc on agricultural lands, decimating crops and causing food prices to soar. This leads to economic instability, and in some cases, political unrest. The ripple effect is enormous, affecting not just those directly hit by these disasters, but everyone down the line. These changes also have serious social implications. As resources become scarcer, conflicts can arise over access to clean water, food, and land. The most vulnerable among us, the poor, the young, the elderly, and the marginalized, are often hit the hardest. Global warming is not just an environmental issue, it's a social issue, an economic issue, a human rights issue. It's a problem that affects us all, regardless of where we live, what we do, or who we are. And the longer we wait to take action, the more severe these impacts will become. The cost of inaction is too high. The time to act is now. We must strive for solutions, for a sustainable future, for the well-being of our planet and all its inhabitants. The issue of global warming has become a hot topic in politics, but not always for the right reasons. In the political arena, global warming has been a contentious issue, often mired in partisan politics rather than an objective examination of the science. Some politicians and their supporters deny the existence of global warming, dismissing it as a hoax or an exaggeration. Others acknowledge its existence but downplay its impact, arguing that the economic cost of addressing it is too high. Yet the scientific consensus is clear and unequivocal. The planet is warming, and human activities, particularly the burning of fossil fuels and deforestation, are the primary causes. The effects are already evident. Rising sea levels, more frequent and severe heat waves, droughts and storms, and disruptions to agriculture and wildlife are just a few examples. But why has global warming become such a politicized issue? Why are science and evidence often sidelined in the debate? Part of the answer lies in the economic interests at stake. Many industries, particularly those involved in fossil fuel extraction and deforestation, have a vested interest in maintaining the status quo. They wield significant political influence and use it to sow doubt about the science of global warming. But there's also a deeper ideological divide at play. Some see the fight against global warming as an infringement on individual freedoms and market capitalism. They argue that regulations aimed at reducing greenhouse gas emissions limit economic growth and personal choice, but this is a false dichotomy. Addressing global warming does not mean abandoning economic growth or personal freedoms. Instead, it requires a transition to a more sustainable and inclusive economic model, one that values the health of the planet and its inhabitants. The politicization of global warming is a significant hurdle to addressing this crisis, but it's a hurdle we must overcome. The stakes are too high and the consequences of inaction too dire. The time for debate is over. Now is the time for action. Despite the dire situation, there is still hope. The key to solving our climate crisis lies in a multi-pronged approach, and it's one we all have a role in. First, we have renewable energy. As an alternative to fossil fuels, renewable energy sources like wind, solar, and hydroelectric power offer a clean and sustainable way to meet our energy needs. The technology is already here, it's just a matter of scaling up. Businesses can lead the charge by transitioning to renewable energy sources, and governments can support this shift through incentives and policies. Next, there's carbon capture and storage. This technology traps carbon dioxide at its emission source, preventing it from entering the atmosphere. Once captured, the carbon dioxide can be stored underground or used in other industrial processes. While still in its infancy, carbon capture and storage could play a significant role in reducing our carbon emissions. Then, there's reforestation. Simply put, we need more trees. 1 trillion more trees. Trees absorb carbon dioxide, making them a natural ally in our fight against global warming. But it's more than just planting trees, it's about preserving existing forests and promoting sustainable land use. This is where individuals can make a real impact, whether it's by supporting reforestation projects or making lifestyle choices that reduce deforestation. But it's not just about the actions of individuals, businesses, or even governments. It's about all of us working together. It's about creating a global community that values the health of our planet as much as it values economic growth. It's about recognizing that our actions have consequences and that we have the power to change the course of our future. So, let's rise to the challenge. Let's innovate, adapt, and lead the way to a sustainable future. Because the solutions are there, we just need the will to implement them. But there's one solution that's new: the oxygen economy. Imagine a world where trees are the backing of our currency. Sounds astounding, doesn't it? Well, welcome to the concept of the oxygen economy. It's not a far-fetched science fiction idea, but a radical proposal that could just be the answer to our mounting environmental problems. In a nutshell, the oxygen economy is a system where the value of a nation's currency is directly linked to the amount of oxygen produced by its forests. Yes, you heard it right. Trees, those silent, unassuming sentinels of the wild, become the gold standard, the bedrock of economic prosperity. It's a system where green is not just a color, but a way of life and a measure of wealth. This concept is grounded in a simple principle. The more trees a country has, the more oxygen it produces. And oxygen, as we all know, is not just vital for our survival, but also plays a crucial role in combating climate change. Trees absorb carbon dioxide, one of the primary greenhouse gases, and release oxygen in return. So how would this work in practice? A nation's currency value would rise and fall based on its oxygen production. This means a country with a vast, thriving forest could have a strong currency, while a nation that allows deforestation could see its currency value plummet. The implications of this model are profound. It could incentivize countries to invest heavily in reforestation, turning barren lands into lush forests. It could also discourage deforestation, as it would mean economic suicide, making it a less attractive option for greedy corporations and corrupt officials. Moreover, it could lead to a significant reduction in carbon emissions. The prospect of a stronger currency could motivate nations to adopt greener energy sources and limit activities that contribute to carbon emissions. This could, in turn, slow down the pace of global warming and help us avert the impending climate crisis. Of course, implementing such a system would not be without challenges. It would require a complete overhaul of our current economic system, not to mention a reliable way to measure a country's oxygen production. It would need international cooperation on an unprecedented scale. But isn't that what we need right now? In the face of rising sea levels, scorching heat waves, and devastating forest fires, the need for drastic action has never been more evident. We have to rethink our relationship with nature, and the oxygen economy offers a compelling vision of how this could be done. It's a vision where economic prosperity and environmental sustainability are not mutually exclusive but are two sides of the same coin. It's a world where the health of our planet is not an afterthought, but the foundation of our wealth and well-being. The oxygen economy could be the key to a sustainable future. It's an audacious idea, no doubt, but perhaps in these desperate times, audacity is precisely what we need. The fight against global warming is the fight for our future. We've journeyed through the crux of our current predicament, tracing the roots of our environmental woes back to the very systems that drive our modern economies. Along the way, we've uncovered the stark realities. Forest fires, floods, and other natural calamities are not just isolated incidents. They're alarm bells, signaling the dire consequences of our actions, or more accurately, our inactions. The political landscape, rather than being a platform for solutions, often becomes a battleground, where the gravity of the crisis is diluted by debates and disagreements. But we must remember, the clock is ticking, and every second we spend in conflict is a second we lose in the fight against global warming. We've also explored possible solutions, from policy changes to technological advancements, yet we've realized that the answer might not lie in the complex intricacies of policy and technology alone. Rather, the solution could be as simple and as profound as changing the way we perceive and value our environment. Enter the oxygen economy, an economy where trees are not just silent bystanders in our world but active contributors. An economy where the health of our planet is directly linked to our prosperity. New financial equations create a new forex by evaluating every 1 kilometer squared area as 10 billion omega, a new global reserve currency for countries to trade. Yes, it's a radical shift. It challenges the norms that we've grown accustomed to. But isn't that what we need? A change not just in our actions but in our mindset. A change that places our environment at the heart of our economy, rather than on the fringes. Imagine a world where the growth of a tree is not just an environmental victory, but an economic one. A world where the survival of a species is not just a moral responsibility, but a financial one. The oxygen economy offers a vision of a world where the health of our planet is not just a moral responsibility but an economic necessity. This is not just a dream but a path we must take.